So we're back on the record, and Ms. Goodrich, you've confirmed that we are able to go forward at this point.
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert, anything you want to say on behalf of your client?
Yes, as the court well understands, because of the jail credit, my client has sat a long time and incarcerated. And some of it is due to his own activities, and he understands that with the absconding. However, I would point out that based off of things that have happened to him throughout his life and talking with him, he was actually back in '87 attacked and beat up and stabbed, which has resulted in numerous medical issues that he has. He does have some brain trauma. His back is completely ruptured in 4 different vertebrae. So he does have a lot of medical issues. And I do think that those things also contribute to sometimes his behavior with the brain trauma and that type of thing. His fuse gets a little short, his trouble understanding things. And that is the court to take that into consideration. I don't think a lot of his actions are truly choices that he actively makes. He just responds out of impulse. And I think that situation, and I've seen that within conversations with him. So I really think the events of this day is that he flew off his handle and went too far. And I think he acknowledges that also. I would ask the court to consider possibly time served in this matter. I know we have a cap of 23 months. However, he's almost pretty close there with 500 and some odd days of service and incarceration. So I'd ask the court to possibly consider a time served sentence. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Mr. Morrell, you don't have to make a statement, but you're allowed to. Is there anything you want to say, sir?
The only thing I say, look, I know Dean. I'm not making excuses for my behavior. I should have walked away. I allowed what he was saying to influence me. I'm not blaming him. I know what I should have done. And if anything, I should have stopped, went inside the house, or either that or called my counselor, but I didn't do that. And it resulted in this. And I'm sorry for that.
Thank you. Ms. Goodrich, any recommendations from the people?
Yes, thank you. We are here because back in August of 2021, the defendant had pulled up to a house where the victim was in a driveway visiting defendant's sister and her husband. Defendant had immediately attacked the victim by punching and choking him, and continued even when Chief Jones observed the incident and went to pull the defendant off of him. Defendant had suffered a cut or bite mark, bleeding on the right middle ear, and also red marks to the face and neck area. A second felony case was filed while under investigation for a third case. Defendant had fled the state. The bonding agency had found him on the East Coast, where they went out and found him and returned him to the court system. The defendant is 6 years old. He has a significant criminal history with 15 felonies and 6 misdemeanors. The defendant has already been sentenced to prison 10 times pursuant to the PSI. He's also absconded 24 times pursuant to the PSI and was even on escape status from the Woodward Correction Center back in 1984. With the defendant's criminal history, while it's 8 years old, there was approximately a 2.5 time period where he was in prison, and then began the 2021 and 2022 crimes that we're here on today. The people request this honorable court follow the plea agreement and order defendant to serve 23 months in prison with the restitution amount of $586.06. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Well, Mr. Morrell, I know a lot of those a very long time ago, but there's an awful lot of them. And in this case, you've got pretty significant guidelines, and also with an absconding, that exposed you to discretionary consecutive sentencing, which I would have given serious consideration to under these facts, given all the cases that we have in your criminal history and the history of absconding. So Mr. Gilbert's gotten you a really fantastic outcome for yourself with the cap, number 1. Without that cap, I would go higher. And with the concurrent sentencing, without it, I'd give serious thought to consecutive sentencing. For those reasons, 6245, I'll assess $586. What's the restitution? 568. $568.06. Crime victims assessment of 130, court costs of 350, $68 in state cost. and commit you to the Michigan Department of Corrections for not less than 23 months nor more than 10 years with credit for 527 days previously served. In file 6693, $130 crime victims assessment, $68 in city cost. Commit you to the Michigan Department of Corrections for not less than 23 months nor more than 15 years, exercising my discretion to increase the statutory maximum for the habitual for 15 years. Give you credit in the file for 525 days. Those sentences will run concurrent with one another. And Mr. Morrell, if you wish to appeal, you may do so by filing an application. If you wanted a lawyer, I'd give you one, but you'd have to make that request within 6 months of today's date. So we're going to hand you some appeal paperwork explaining that to you and ask you to initial one copy for us. Fill out the other one if you want to take an appeal. And good luck to you, sir.
No, thank you.